Right, before we go anywhere, had a real close one this morning. Supposed to be taking the family out, taking the girls out to Trafford shopping centre. Ooh, bit of sick in my mouth then. Don't do shopping. Been promised doing this for ages, and they really want to go, so I said okay, I'll take you out. But just go out and have a quick look at the pond, see how we're doing. We'll go in sort of 20 minutes. So as I get to the filters, there's like a little pool of water just below the pump. Why is that there? Little pisser of water. Boots perished. Look at that. There, and there's like a little slit in it, which is where the water was coming from. Just there. Oh dear. So unfortunately this morning, the shopping trip, hurrah, is on hold. So this is on hold, well that's on hold, until this is done, because I can't just leave this, because there's water coming out. Just glad I spotted it first thing. Otherwise we would have been down on water, so got to nip over to Steve's, grab a new boot, get it fitted. Let's go. Right, got back from Steve's, new boot, and it comes with new Jubilee clips as well. So we better get this on and fitted and done, so that we can try to blag a bit more time without going shopping. I don't know. So let's get it fitted. Right, I'm going to keep an eye on that for the next half an hour or so. Maybe a little bit more time not shopping. Shh. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this for the next sort of half an hour, just to make sure what I've put on is right. I think what it is that one of the pipes isn't as wide as that, and I have to sort of clamp it a little bit more, sort of squeeze it in. So I'm going to have to look at another way, I think, of doing this, because I think the last time I did these, I think the viewers that have been with me for a little while, you probably remember that I did these only this time last year. So these things are only lasting for around about 12 months, and then they're perishing, because I've noticed another one on the UV end, on the outlet of the UV, that also is in a similar condition. But Steve only had one in. He only had one of these new connector, rubbery connector pipey thingies in. So he's going to get some more in, and then I will pop over and buy another couple. I might just buy another one as a spare, and then I can just chuck them on. Say if it's in a weekend when Steve's not open, because don't forget Pencoy's only open at weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. I think it's 10 till 4, or 10 till 3, 10 till 4. Check on his Facebook, because he does a number of other jobs in the week. He's a works 7 days a week, bless him. He's got loads of jobs. He's just a busy bloke, so you know, helping people with ponds, fitting ponds. He's got another job as well, so he's got about 2-3 jobs. Anyways, it's got to do with this. So so yeah, so if you need Steve for anything, don't forget he's only open weekends. Check him out on his Facebook. If you chuck him a message and it's emergency, you need to open the shop up, he'll tell you if you can or not, and he'll help you out where he can. Let's move on to something else. Oh, and one more thing before I go. Eagle-eyed people out there that you've probably spotted, and I can hear you saying, oh look Andy, I can see where you're doing your trickle in now. Only a couple of you, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so for everybody else, as you remember, when I got rid of all my sponges out of my last bay and filled it with jet matting, I was a little bit stuck for where I was going to do my trickle in. Now then, this might put the kettle amongst your pigeons or open a little can of worms, because what I've done is I am now trickle in to my last bay with jet matting. Now let me explain, because I can hear you all going, oh, that's a bad idea, Andy. Trickling in potential chlorine water into your jet matting, killing all your bacteria. Okay. I'll tell you why. Because A, I don't know where else to put it. I suppose I could put it at the far end, but then it's going to be going all the way through the filters. So, my theory is this, that I trickle in the very last bay, so it goes straight into the pond. It's going through the 2 filters to take out as much chlorine or bits and pieces in there that I don't want through my first of all paper filter and then the carbon filter, and then into the pond, into the last bay of my filter system. So how I've positioned it, as you can see with this expensive little bit of cheap string, is I've positioned it right over the outlet, so any water that goes into it gets instantly sucked through the pipe, through the pump, and into the pond. It doesn't linger in the jet matting area. You know what to do, comment below. So there you are, so that's what I've done, and that's what I'm going to have to continue to do unless one of you guys come up with a really good idea where I'm not trailing hose pipe all over the garden, because this is probably one of the best ones I've got, where I've got sort of 6 inches of pipe over the back of the garden to the back of here and then in. So anyway, I just thought I'd point that out. Anyway, let's crack on with something else. Just while we waste more time, not shopping. So yeah, these are a little bit annoying, only lasting 12 months before they perished. Is it maybe how I'm tightening up? Or what, I don't know. What?
Andy, can we go to the Trafford Centre? Come on, now please.
Better go shopping. I think I've stalled long enough. I'm off to the Trafford Centre. Take the girls shopping. We'll carry on with this another time. See you later. What? That was physically and financially draining trip to the Trafford Centre. I need time to recuperate and recharge my bank account. Right, just what I've made my dinner, just cheese today, is I wanted to share with you a conversation I had with a gentleman at the BKKS koi show the other day. Interesting conversation. Hi Andy, all right? Face bump, oatcakes. I think he got a set of oatcakes that day. Anyways, because he went dead quick. He was telling me about jump guards. He said, I've got this brilliant idea, Andy, I've got to tell you all about me jump guards that I've done. So yeah, fire away, mate, what is it? So he tells me that because of his jump guards been dead expensive, you know, the perspex ones with the what's it on, he went for the same idea for the edging that I did. So I basically got I just went out and bought a load of decking, some cheap decking from the local DIY place, painted it slate because I couldn't afford slate. I'd love to put slate on, but I couldn't afford it. So he did the same thing, but instead of going out and buying jump guards as well, this is where the clever bit comes in. Richard from Telford is where his, say for example this is a section of the coping around the side of the pool. So he's got this upside down bit of decking now that in the daytime is like this. When he's finished with it at night time, he's got a hinged it across the length, and then he basically picks it up at night time to create a jump guard barrier. I like this idea. Now this is an idea that I think, I mean I won't be doing it yet because it's only a couple of years old, this stuff, but I think if as and when this needs replacing, because it's only wood, so at some point it's going to rot. Sometimes it's going to, especially if it's been around a pool, it's getting wet all the time, is I might do this, you know, when I'm replacing the stuff around the outside, I might get something hinged and at night time just pick it up. And you've got a jump guard as well. Every day's a school day. Richard, Telford. As I said at the show, mate, I like that. Can't knock it till you've tried it. Just an idea I thought I'd share while I was eating my cheesy oatcake. Now, he didn't tell me how he locks these things into place, because obviously you'd have to put them, you'd have to lock them in place somehow. So he didn't tell me how he did that. I've no idea, but I'm sure we'd sort that one out. Also here, everybody had their oat cakes. Love them, Andy. Oh, what have I done? What have I started there now? But I might every show I go to now, I might just take half a dozen for half a dozen, with half a dozen in a pack. I don't know. Right, I want to have a quick look at doing some prep work for the summer that's coming up. We've been having some really hot, sunny days recently in the UK. So I thought I'd just have a look at how prepared I am for when the real heat starts hitting us. And I believe this weekend, if this is going out the Friday, I think even over the weekend, it could get really, really hot. So I'm going to be looking at how prepared I am for my open-topped pond, completely open to the sun, how much air I've got going in, water flow, and so on and so forth, because I want to make sure that when the heat hits that my fish are going to be able to handle it. So first of all, cover. As you can see, a completely open pond to the elements, to the sun as it comes in. So the first thing I'd do now, that thing covers about 2/3 of my pond when the sun's at its highest. So that's pretty good, that is, to get somewhere for the fish to shelter. So it's taking a lot of the UVs off the pond, so it keeps down my algae growth, so the green in the water stays away as much as possible. Obviously it's still going to get in there. I still need my UV working to kill whatever's left, but it sort of reduces a lot of the green that grows in my pond. It also allows the fish to get a bit of shelter from sunburn. You know, I hear that any open ponds like this, your fish could get sunburn if they were in a prolonged exposure to the sun's rays. So it gives them that as well. It gives them a bit of cover overall. So oxygen. What about oxygen going into my pond? I've made sure that I've got at least two large discs that are blowing air from my air pump into the pond itself, and make sure that they're regularly cleaned, because they do get a lot of algae growth on them, which could reduce the air blowing out of them. So I make sure there's lots and lots of oxygen going into my pond when the sun's at its brightest. Again, this is what I've been told, is that warmer ponds don't hold as much oxygen as the colder water. So as soon as the water starts warming up, it starts letting more oxygen get out. So the water doesn't saturate with as much oxygen. And I believe that a lot of people say, well, just run them through the day and turn them off for the night time. I hear that it's the night time, you know, early hours of the morning, when your pond is more vulnerable to loss of oxygen. So if your fish are like on the surface gasping for air, maybe they're not looking for food, they may be gasping for air. If they're looking stressed out, very lethargic, kind of rolling around, it may be that they're depleting of oxygen. So the cover will help. More oxygen going into the pool, into the pond, will also help. And also a consistent flow of oxygen into my filter system, because we've still got to make sure that our beneficial bacteria that grows mainly when it's dark, it's warm, and it got lots of oxygen. So got to keep your oxygen on in your pond, in your filters as well, to make sure that also generates. I'm told that a lot of the oxygen you put into your filter system is taken away by your bacteria, but some still filters through and back into the pond. So any that's not used by your bacteria in here will filter through and go into your pond anyway, which is giving your fish even more oxygen. So what's your backup if you lose your air supply, which is quite critical to how much oxygen is going into your pond, as we've just talked about? So what's your backup plan? So backup number one that I have in place is an old pump. What I'd have to do is I'd probably try to rig an old pump up that's sort of been hanging around, to fire it up every now and again, just make sure it's not seized up. And these, because they have the spray option, is it would draw in water in the bottom and then create a fountain at the top. So this would be collecting oxygen as the water flows out, lands in the water and gives them some oxygen. It's only a temporary thing until I get another air supply sorted out or another air pump. So this would be one. Another last resort would be my hose pipe. Now, this might open a few can of worms, but it's what I do as an emergency and as a last resort. If all of a sudden I lost my air pump, I didn't have a spare pump to be able to pump the existing water into the air to catch some oxygen, is I'd probably use my hose pipe as a last resort and only as a temporary measure until I can get another air source sorted out. So water from the hose pipe, and again you've got to be aware that you've got a lot of chlorine in these things and chloramine, which is not a good thing for the fish, hence it being a last resort, is that as you're firing the water through the air, it's picking up oxygen into the water if you fire it across the pond and putting oxygen into your water. So again, this is only a last resort. I'd only probably do this as a last resort. I wouldn't do this as a long-term thing. In fact, to be honest, somebody put this into practice, I think, over in Africa. In South Africa, somebody messaged me and said, look, in our country, in South Africa, we lose power every now and again. So I've lost a few fish. What do you recommend to do for if we lose power? So they've got no water flow, they've got no air. So this is one thing that I suggested to do. Blast some water into the air across your pond, and as it goes across, it'll pick oxygen up in the water and then put it down into your water. But again, it's only, I keep saying, it's only a last resort. Some people might have the showers, backy showers, waterfalls, you know, all those kind of things that that put water into your pond or circulate the water in your pond would create oxygen. So they would help as well. So if you've got those and your air pump goes down, you may have a little bit more time before you have to start spraying water over your pond or sticking an extra pump in to create something. Just as long as you're churning water, it should collect oxygen and put it back into your pond. So that's another way. Something else I have in my armoury, just to make sure that the fish have got enough oxygen should the weather get so hot that it starts bothering, is my floating skimmer. Now this is obviously serving two purposes here. A, it's skimming the water, clearing the surface of the water, which I'll show you a video in the description below. Oh no, up there. Is that right? Left? Up there, and in the description below, on the floating skimmers. If you've not built one into your pond, these are fantastic. I wouldn't do without it. But this one that I've got actually blows oxygen into the pond as well. So should my air pump suddenly lose power or something happen there, I can flick that on and that should give the fish a level of oxygen to help them breathe until I can get my other oxygen done. So that's another little backup plan that I have in my little armoury. So that's just a few things that I've got in my plan when the weather, and now the weather is starting to get really hot in the UK, and I suppose all over the world in some places, like say the guy in South Africa who was losing fish because he was losing power and not having enough oxygen going into his pond. So you need to get a plan of what if something breaks or something goes down, because it's not only your fish as well. I mean, your fish are your main concern when you start losing air pumps or the weather turns really, really nice and you're an exposed pond, but also your beneficial bacteria is also taking up oxygen as well. So there's lots of things in your pond that is taking up your oxygen that you're putting the air into to where you go. So there you go. So what's your plan? Should you have problems with your air supply, or even when the sun comes out and you've got an exposed pond? What do you do to cover yours? Comment below. And on that bombshell, thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please click subscribe, like, ding the bell for notifications, share to all your friends. Now I've got some hungry koi that need feeding. Thanks very much for watching. This was Koi Pond Lifestyle.